Hey nature photographers, I want to do a series where occasionally I share with you some of the secrets of professional nature photographers. And on this particular video, I'm going to share with you something that I know happens time and time again to many people out in the field. Maybe you're driving along a road, maybe you're on a boat, maybe you're hiking a trail, and suddenly a bird or some wildlife or a particularly beautiful but fleeting landscape scene pops up in front of you, and your settings are not accurate, they're not correct, and you miss the shot. Okay. And I know that happens time and time again. I see it with clients over and over again. And one of the things I like to teach them that most professional photographers that I know utilize is we learn to anticipate, not react. What does that mean? Stick with me and I'll tell you. Hey nature photographers, I'm Lee Hoy, OM System Ambassador, photography workshop instructor for Wildside Nature Tours and Precision Camera and Video, and contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. Here we go. So anticipation, not reaction, is the key to capturing many great nature images, whether it be wildlife, macro, landscape. And by anticipation, what I mean is having your exposure settings, your ISO, your aperture, and your shutter speed where they need to be for the image that you hope to capture. You know, here recently in Brazil, while going down a river in a little skiff, as the river curved and meandered back and forth, you know, the light would change. And on the left side of the boat, the light was not that great. The right side, it was really pretty. Okay, so I knew right off the bat I was going to anticipate images in the pretty light. I wasn't worried about something going on to the left. I was focused on the right. That meant I could set my exposure for the right. Now, I could anticipate birds up in the shade of the tree or mammals, or I could wait for them to come out into the beautiful light. So what I did is we were constantly going down the river. I was regularly adjusting my shutter speed to be prepared for what might occur in the light I wanted with the background I wanted. I'm not worried about photographing anywhere and everywhere. I'm worried about putting myself in position for success. And to do that means I'm anticipating my settings so that when or if great action occurs, I'm not wondering, is my exposure ready to go? All I have to think of is acquiring focus, trying to put the subject in the frame where I want it, and capturing images. If I'm having to think about all three exposure settings, plus autofocus, plus putting the subject where I wanted the frame, that's going to be too much in a short time period quite often. So, you know, if the light's being relatively constant, my ISO really doesn't have to change. You know, for wildlife photography and even landscape photography or macro, my apertures can remain relatively constant in most settings, right? Once I understand what I'm trying to accomplish, you know, Brian Peterson, author of Understanding Exposure, which I believe is the best book on, you know, understanding shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. You know, the reality is most of the time ISO is remaining pretty constant, you know, unless you're out photographing where there's a lot of changing light, you know, maybe you're going from dapple light, you know, shade and sun back and forth. And even then you can help set yourself up for success by focusing on certain lighting conditions and knowing I'm going to photograph subjects in that, or create specific light with a flash. You know, my aperture, if I'm doing wildlife photography, I'm generally shooting somewhere between wide open and f8, unless I'm super close to a large animal, or I'm trying to get more than one subject in my depth of field, right? So those two aren't having to change a lot. So really then it becomes about shutter speed. And then I'm pretty much trying to make sure it's fast enough to stop action or to be slow enough if I want to create some intentional blur, right? So by understanding that, I've already started setting myself up for success because I've anticipated my settings, okay? And one of the things that professional nature photographers do is anticipating these settings means we're more likely to be raising our camera to get a subject in the frame when you're maybe starting to look down at your camera to think about your exposure. And I'm constantly reminding my clients, whether we're going down a river in a vehicle, hey guys, the light's changing, make some adjustments to your ISO so your shutter speed will be fast enough. Hey guys, the light's changing, or hey, we're closer to this, you may want to look at your f-stop. And by anticipating that, I am improving my odds of capturing what I like to call visually compelling images. Visually compelling images are those images that make you linger, make you admire, move you emotionally. You know, we want our images to make people to emote people. We want it to have a visceral response of awe, of wonder, sometimes in conservation images of sorrow. We want it to be of beauty. You know, there's all different kinds of reactions to great nature photography. You know, night sky photography, the wonder of the night sky. And by anticipating your settings, you are putting yourself in a better position for success. And I see so many beginning and intermediate photographers who get frustrated because of failure, but they're setting themselves up for failure because they're just trying to shoot anything at any time, anywhere. But that is not how most nature photographers work. We are constantly anticipating and perhaps even waiting for a subject to get where we want it to be, and learning to be patient in that. So I hope the next time you go out in the field, what you're going to find is, instead of setting yourself up for failure, you'll set yourself up for success by constantly monitoring your exposure. You can meter off like-toned subjects. So if I'm at the beach and I've got a lot of gulls and terns, you know, even a lot of shorebirds have some white on them, we'll meter off of that, and you'll be prepared for most of the birds you're going to encounter. Now, you know, if a cormorant's going to fly by, a cormorant is probably at least a stop and a third difference in light between, say, a tropic bird or a bright gull and a cormorant. So if I see a dark bird coming by, you know, in flight, I know I need to slow my shutter speed down, probably, you know, at 1 1/3 stops, which is 4 clicks. If you're shooting in 1/3 stops, that's 4 clicks of your shutter speed. You don't even have to think in terms of stops. You just think in terms of clicks, and boom, you're ready to go and capture those images. So I hope the next time you go out, you're going to think about this, and you'll constantly be metering off light-toned subjects where you can have your exposure pretty close before you even have something happen. So good luck out in the field. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you'll come out sometime and join me on a workshop out in the field. Have a great day.